Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have DuckTales, the original from 1987. They run about 20 some minutes each. Let me check real quick. I don't know why I didn't bother checking. Yeah, they're about 23, 24 minutes each. I watched the first three episodes. By the way, as I'm looking at this, you'll notice that there's 63 episodes here, season one, 30 episodes in season two, and 5 episodes in season three. That's a big dip in episode numbers. But you'll also notice something really strange about this. Episode one, then it jumps to episode four, and then five. So and then from there. So I did a little bit of research and discovered that this is not the only animated series on Disney Plus that's missing episodes. And some of the reasons are having to do with rights issues. That's the general blanket reason that Disney Plus gives, rights issues or some other just basic conflict. Um, yeah, I'm guessing because I have to admit I've never really watched this. I'm sure I've seen an episode here or there, but it was just like a random choice. It was not something I tuned into every week, and I'm like, I gotta watch Ducktales. I was probably a little bit too old for it at that point when it came out, or at least I'd like to think I was. But this, along with the Avengers, Spider-Man, X-Men, all sorts of different series on Disney Plus are missing episodes. If you have a favorite episode you think is missing, you should probably tell them, ask them what's going on here. Get all the episodes. You want all of the episodes. Uh, in this situation, though, the first episode, which has to do with Magica cloning the Beagle Boys and turning them into Huey, Dewey, and Louie in order to steal McDuck's prized first dime. Uh, that's supposedly like, I don't know, episode 33. I don't know, some sort of random episode that is not the pilot. And the pilot, I'm not even sure it even exists on this on Disney Plus right now. It's a lot of stuff is really out of order, and it's just weird that they would still number it 1, 4, and 5 if they're not really in the proper order in the first place. And why leave a gap numerically? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. That said, we still get some good episodes out of these. The first three that I watched. The first one, like I said, Magica, the evil duck witch. She she clones the Beagle Boys, and they try to steal the dime. Lots of good fun. It's a fairly decent, introduction to the struggle between that the boys have to go against bad guys that are always trying to steal Scrooge McDuck's fortune. And it's a lot. It's very farcical, and there's lots of the boys and the clone boys, the fake boys, coming back and forth through different doors and confusing Scrooge McDuck and basically a Barbara Walters type interviewer. Her last name is Walters. I can't remember what she called herself, but so yeah, it's a very goofy, silly, fun episode. What I was surprised in watching a lot of these is that even though they're 23-minute long episodes that are a full story, they get fairly involved, fairly intense with some of the action, how things escalate. It's actually it feels like a full episode. Yes, it's cartoony and it's meant for kids, and it's not very all that complex, but it escalates quickly. Let's just say that. The second one I think is Where No Duck Has Gone Before, and it is the boys are a big fan of this very rickety, low budget, still currently filming Star Trek type episode. They do not say Star Trek, but the references are 100% Star Trek. Everything from sort of what would be considered in our era cheap sets to the way the captain carries himself, a major courageous or something like a major courage. Yeah. Anyway, he also when jostled enough, his pompadour, his duck-like pompadour, falls off. It's actually a toupee. It's a nice little sort of reference to William Shatner. He also speaks with a pause. at times, like Shatner is known for. So it's it's a not so subtle parody of Star Trek. Uh, the boys are huge fans of the show and of the main character. Launchpad is sort of like, oh, it's all fake. He seems a little bit unnecessarily jealous. We know it's fake. Yes, the boys kind of really like this fake star captain, but you're a grown man. You shouldn't really be too upset that the boys just like a little bit of fantasy in their life. And Gizmo comes along as well. And the reason why they're there is because Scrooge McDuck gave some money to the studio long ago, and when it came for them to pay it back, they couldn't do it, so they gave him the studio. And the boys like this because they get to go visit the set of their favorite show. In the process, in order to make it turn a buck and make a profit rather than losing money, Scrooge McDuck gets Gizmo to recreate the set of the spaceship so it's as realistic as possible. Gizmo takes this as make the starship as realistic as possible, so he makes an actual starship. And they shoot off into space. The boys get honorary uniforms. The captain is there, and Launchpad goes along to protect them, not realizing, or just to watch over them. Nobody realizing they're going to be shot into space and even meet real aliens. So lots of craziness ensues, and they're actually in danger for a point where the aliens are going to eat them and turn them into fertilizer or something. They're going to do all sorts of stuff, and a number of little other Star Trek jokes get thrown in there as well. So it's a fun. It was my favorite episode of the three that I watched. The third one has to deal with a robot called Armstrong, who Gizmo also creates. I think Gizmo might be working against Mick Scrooge because everything he makes kind of gets screwy. It kind of risks everybody's lives. Launchpad, he's heroic, but sometimes he isn't all there. But Gizmo seems actually dangerous. So he creates this robot that can do everything that they need to do: vacuum the floor, clean the rooms, do the kids' homework, wash the car, do all these things. And then he sort of gets his own kind of attitude and thinks he needs to control everything and have all the money. And it's sort of like a Terminator kind of sequence, or it's AI taking over kind of thing. So yeah, we get that kind of episode. I'm sure there's tons more parodies of different things, or nods to different pop culture things back in 1987. Speaking of 1987, when it came to the Star Trek episode, the reason why you do not see an episode any reference to Star Trek: The Next Generation is because Star Trek: The Next Generation came out also in 1987, and more than likely all the animation for this was already done well before anybody had ever seen an episode of The Next Generation. So I don't know if there's something later on in this series, because God knows the people writing this had to have been Star Trek fans. So either way, it was kind of neat just to see that. I kind of do like the aesthetic and the rapid fire humor of the newer one, but for those of you who grew up with this, nothing's going to beat the original, obviously. And I'm never going to convince you otherwise. I mean, the theme song itself is, I didn't even watch the show and I know the theme song. It's very easily singable, and it will get stuck in your head for the rest of the night, if not the week, once you start watching it. So, yeah. So I'd like to say you can watch all of DuckTales on Disney+, but that is not the case. And maybe you can write into them and say, come on, Disney+, give me back my episodes. Unless, I don't know, something really awful happened in them and you seriously don't want to watch something really sexist or something, just, how there's a lot of older stuff, maybe not as, this isn't that old, but still, sometimes when they make stuff, it doesn't age well. So, anyway, DuckTales, obviously a classic, and check it out and revisit it if it's something that you grew up with. Other than that, let's see what we got tomorrow.
103.
103. Staying in the hundreds. Oh, man. We were so close. Because you know how we watched the music from Coco just a few days ago? Uh, Coco is actually 104. And it would have been great to have that in the same week. And I can figure out what everybody's bawling their eyes out about. But we're actually going to go back to another sequel to a Disney Princess classic. Now, one of the very first, if not the very first princess movie we ever watched on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'm not even sure which one it was. It might have been the second or third day. Uh, we watched the first sequel to the original Cinderella film. We still have not seen the original Cinderella film from 1950 yet. That has not come up randomly yet. But we are going to watch. I love time travel movies. We're going to watch Cinderella 3: A Twist in Time. All right. So yeah, it's a twist in time. I'm guessing that we're going to see what would happen if she had not lost the slipper or had a fairy godmother, or who knows, she would have still been destitute and a slave to her stepsisters and stepmom. We'll see. It's a twist in time, and we'll be back here to explore that on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge tomorrow.